The jack of all trades here with us on a Monday for his prop perspective. That is Tom Vecchio. Some Olympic basketball conversation, some Major League Baseball games, and prop plays for this Monday ahead of deadline day around MLB tomorrow. Tom Vecchio, as always, we appreciate the time. Thank you for being here to start off this new week.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, a busy time, not only for the Olympics. Baseball season is getting to the stretch run, and before you know, football season will be here. I'm ready to go.
So, Vecchio, as we look at the odds for the Olympic opener for Team USA yesterday, 110.84 to win. The United States covering is a 13.5-point favorite. The total, 185 and a hook. Skies way over. Vecchio, throughout this Olympic tournament, with men's basketball and Team USA, what is your handicapping approach going to be?
You know, it's been difficult just because, we didn't know what the rotation was going to be, as you guys discussed a couple segments ago with Tatum not playing. It's also a different rules in terms of the time limit, the overall time of the game. So we have to look at that in terms of players. Their production rate is not going to be the same. Their usage rate is not going to be the same because these are all players, generally speaking, that have 25, 30% usage rates. So they're not going to be posting these PRAs that are at 50 or 60. They're going to be somewhere in the 30s. So we have to use the overall time of the game and just how different international basketball is as a starting point. And then it's kind of just I want to say a little bit of coach speak. We have to take what we heard. And Steve Kerr said that he didn't play Tatum, but Tatum's going to play moving forward. So we can use a little bit of that going into the next game.
Taking a look at the game itself, 110-84, an easy victory for Team USA over Serbia. Let me just ask you this question. Forget about the players in the game itself. Team USA as a whole, did that change your opinion at all, as if now when the lights are brightest, Team USA should really shine? Or were you like, you know what? I knew we had a good team, expected an easy victory out of Serbia, and let's see what's ahead.
I think the trust is still there. I think we're looking ahead. The first few games, the exhibition games, Team USA has generally started off pretty slow. So they had those few scares, 1-point game versus South Sudan, in the exhibition. They had those scares. They got those out of the way. Now it's time for business time is here. So enough of that nonsense. Get down to business. Trust the key players. Get a solid rotation going, and we can move forward, pick up some easy wins, and Team USA comes away with the gold.
Minus 550, now that number on the Americans to win their 5th consecutive gold medal. Canada, a victory over Giannis Antetokounmpo and Greece on Saturday, second best price at plus 850. Now we transition to the baseball diamond. Two teams that are frankly listed as contenders in the National League, but are they really? It's the Braves and the Brewers today in Milwaukee. The Brew Crew, a 6-game lead on top of the National League Central. Atlanta, the top spot in the NL wild card race. A virtual pick'em in Milwaukee. The Brewers, a slight home favorite at minus 116. Total is 8.5. Vecchio, how do you break down this matchup in Milwaukee?
I'm starting off straight with under 8.5. Both pitchers, Ray and Holmes, are pretty average overall, but we've talked about it before. The offenses, really, from the Braves side, just completely lacking. The injuries are piling up. Christian Yelich is now out for the Brewers. I just don't trust these offenses enough to put up enough runs. When we're looking at the Braves lineup, it used to be an awesome lineup, top to bottom. Now with the injuries that they dealt with, Riley and Olsen can't carry that offense on a nightly basis. And here, Adames and Contreras are great on the other side. But after that, I'm not worried about too many of these hitters. So I say we side with the under to start the week. It may not be the most exciting thing, but it's probably the route to go today.
We take a look at the NL odds right now to win the pennant. The Dodgers at a plus 165 price. The Phillies at a 2-1 price. Then we have the Braves and the Brewers, plus 550 on the Braves and a 12-1 price on the Brewers. If I were to give you a free bet today, Tom, down the stretch, who would it be on? The Atlanta Braves or the Milwaukee Brewers at those two price points?
At this point, it might have to be the Brewers just because I think they'll be healthier when it's all said and done. I don't like the pitching that they have up front. If Max Fried comes back healthy and it's Fried and Sale, that's a different story. I think that's probably the safest route to go, but we're not there yet. We don't know if Fried comes back, how healthy he'll be, et cetera, et cetera. The lineups, we could say that they're all equal. The Padres, I think they're a fine number. The long shot would be the Giants. I know it seems a bit out of left field, but I've always talked about pitching. If Snell and Webb can be there, I think they're as good of a 1-2 combo as we can get outside of getting to Wheeler and Nola. So that would be the super, super long shot to go for the NL.
They're only 2 games below 500, that being San Francisco. They're only 3.5 games out of a wild card spot. It's not the craziest thing. They could turn it on over the final 2 months of this regular season. A historic day, Vecchio, in Major League Baseball. Anytime Paul Skenes gets a start, it is Skenes Day number 13 in the history of MLB tonight in Houston. We have looked at the odds. The Buccos are a road favorite. Now to Skenes himself. What continues to baffle me a little bit, Vecchio, is the K prop for Paul Skenes. 7.5 is the number. The over has plus money. He has recorded at least 8 strikeouts in 8 of his prior 9 starts. So how do you approach Paul Skenes in that strikeout prop?
It's been tough with him because the numbers are super high. Sometimes they're juiced. Unlike today, we actually have plus money on the over. The Astros are actually really disciplined at the plate versus righties. So that is taken into account. So my take for this is, I've said this before for many years with you guys about NBA players, whether it's Luka, whether it's Antetokounmpo, whoever it is. I don't take unders on some of those players. Sometimes you either take the over or you stay away. And I think that is where Skenes is really approaching, where it's like he could put up 10 strikeouts in 6 innings. I'm not going to take the under on Paul Skenes, but I don't necessarily love the matchup in order to lay money on the over. So sometimes it's just a stay away, and I think that's what we have today.
Let's get to Philadelphia, Tom. You take a look at the New York Yankees and the Philadelphia Phillies about to get underway with a 3-game set. Heel versus Wheeler on the mound. FanDuel Sportsbook overnight opened this price point at a minus 154 price. It currently sits at the Phillies at a minus 142 price and a total of 9. What are your expectations for this series? And more importantly, who wins tonight?
I think the Phillies win tonight. I think that's going to be super straightforward. Yankees coming off like an emotional series win against the Red Sox, struggling going into that series. They blow a game. They come away with these 2 wins. I think that's what we're going to see. I think we're going to see a dominant Phillies win. They're also coming off a bit of I don't want to say a bad loss, but it's a game that they had in control yesterday. I think we're going to see an awesome game from Zach Wheeler. Over 6.5 strikeouts for him today, sitting at minus 138. He comes with a 27% strikeout rate this season. He's been awesome. He's been over this mark in 3 straight games since the start of July. I think this is just a take care of business game for the Phillies. They're at home. I would lay it on the money line with them. I think that's certainly fine. I think this is a start to finish Phillies game. Yankees late game last night after Sunday Night Baseball again against the Red Sox. Bad series against the Mets. A little bit of regression is coming for their offense today and over the next few days.
10-4, the record for Zach Wheeler, a 2.50 ERA, now a co-favorite to win the National League Cy Young Award alongside Chris Sale, plus 150. Those two have kind of jockeyed position for that true frontrunner in the NL Cy Young race, with young Paul Skenes at plus 370, not all that far behind. Vecchio, as you look at the World Series odds, the order really remains. The Astros have seen their price shorten over the last 2.5 weeks or so. I'm not going to ask you your best bet. I'm going to phrase it like this. Ahead of the MLB trade deadline tomorrow, whose World Series number do you think drastically shortens in the next month of regular season action?
If the Orioles can make a big splash, I think they'll be up there with one of the favorites. We know they have a tremendous amount of prospects that they have. Are they willing to deal them? That is the question. Will they be able to move from 6 to 4, plus 600 to plus 400? Will that number change if they are willing to move some of these prospects and get another big name pitcher? That's where I want to go. I also like taking the Orioles versus the Phillies direct matchup at 11-1 for the World Series. It's not picking a winner. It's just picking the finalists. So Orioles versus Phillies, little East Coast battle in the World Series this year.
Let's show those top props on this Monday. Drew Holiday, under 3.5 boards. Vecchio for the second game on Wednesday afternoon against South Sudan.
Yeah, I think he's going to hit under on that. I think his defensive prowess is going to be more needed in the following game versus Puerto Rico, and they'll get Halliburton, who also didn't play any minutes in that last game, alongside Tatum. True. So we'll see a rotation change. We'll see Halliburton out there more of a guard position along with Tatum. I also like O'Neal Cruz, didn't touch on that for the Pirates game, but not worried about Jake Boss, who's on the mound for the Astros. We'll just take Cruz 2+ total bases at plus 100.
Love the look, Vecchio. The prop perspective on this Monday. By the way, the United States 3-1.5-point favorite against South Sudan on Wednesday afternoon. A team that only lost to the Americans by 1 in the exhibition. Vecchio, thank you. More baseball breakdowns next.